High on Life worked because it was stupid in smart ways. Talking guns, alien drug cartels, Rick and Morty humor that actually landed. And every single preview won't stop mentioning one thing: skateboarding. Now the sequel's coming, and everyone is asking the same question: can comedy work twice? Alright, let's get straight into this. High on Life 2 releases February 13th, 2026. PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X/S, Windows PC, Game Pass Day 1. And every preview mentions the same thing: skateboarding. Not the guns, not the jokes, not your sister getting kidnapped by space pharmaceutical executives. The skateboard, which feels wrong until you learn the story. The skateboard almost didn't exist. Twice, actually. During the development of the first High on Life, Squanch Games prototyped a skateboard system, built it, tested it, decided it didn't fit, cut it completely. Fast forward to High on Life 2's early development. The team brings the skateboard back, this time as a power-up, and then something happened. The dev team kept iterating on traversal, testing movement options, refining how you navigate these alien worlds, and they realized the skateboard wasn't a power-up, it was the entire movement system. Now it's a core pillar of the game. Press sprint and your character deploys the board automatically. You're not running anymore. You're skating, grinding rails, catching air off ramps, maintaining momentum through combat. The skateboard became your run button, which sounds like a small change until you see it in action.
I don't know why.
Because it completely changes how the game flows. The first game had standard FPS mobility, nothing revolutionary, but High on Life 2 makes movement the main event. Rails everywhere, ramps in combat areas, empty pools for momentum. And here's the part that surprised journalists: the skateboard's required for puzzles. One demo section had a locked door that needed the skateboard's momentum to solve. You can't just walk up and interact, you have to approach with speed. Which means that Squanch built their level design around this mechanic that they almost deleted twice.
Keep moving, cause this thing ain't working.
But with everyone so focused on the skateboarding mechanic, they're missing something bigger. High on Life 2 is slowly becoming an RPG. Stay with me here. The first game was pure shooter. Linear missions, boss fights, some exploration. You had different guns with different abilities, but no real choices. The story happened to you, and you reacted to it. But High on Life 2 adds in dialogue options. When your guns talk, and they never shut up, you can choose which one responds. I know, it sounds minor, but it's the foundation of choice-driven gameplay, combined with 3 large hub worlds instead of just one. The first game had Blimp City, one central area that you return to between missions. But the sequel has 3 separate hub zones, more NPCs, more side content, more optional paths. That's not shooter design. Squanch hasn't called it an RPG, they're still marketing this as an action-adventure FPS. But all the pieces are there. I mean, this game's wearing a shooter disguise while building RPG systems underneath.
We're actually repairmen sent here to fix the elevator.
What?
Now, let's go ahead and talk about why you're doing any of this. Well, the story picks up right after the first game. Your sister Lizzie gets kidnapped, not by some random alien gang, by a pharmaceutical conglomerate. Big Pharma went interstellar and they want your sister. The game doesn't explain why in the previews, just that you're now hunting this corporation, which is a different tone than the first game. A pharmaceutical company hits a bit different. I mean, that's corporate villainy, the kind that hides behind lawyers and quarterly earnings. And Squanch Games choosing that as the villain feels a bit deliberate. Like they're aiming at something more uncomfortable than just space drug dealers. I mean, the first game let you laugh at the bad guys, but this one might make you think about real-world systems while you're shooting aliens, which is trickier to pull off without killing the comedy. But I guess we'll see. However, here's where things get a bit weird. Multiple previews mention a murder mystery sequence. It takes place on a luxury cruise ship called the Pink Line Panacea. You're hunting a billionaire named Larry Pinkstock. To get on his ship, you have to get drunk with a depressed gun named Travis. I mean, there's literally a happy-o-meter you fill by dancing, playing darts while hammered, and drawing portraits. I know, very normal video game stuff. You black out, you wake up on the beach, and you fight your way onto the ship. And then you attend a murder mystery party. And here's what I expected from this section. A light gag, maybe some funny dialogue, a simple whodunit where you pick the obvious suspect and move on. 5-minute distraction at most. But that's not what journalists got. One preview from IGN specifically mentions this: the murder mystery is no joke. You have to interview 4 suspects repeatedly, search the room for hidden clues, make notes in an actual in-game notepad, establish motives, means, and opportunity. and the IGN journalist failed it. They accused the right person but couldn't prove motive. The game said no, you didn't solve it. In a comedy shooter about talking guns, Squanch Games built a full puzzle game inside a boss fight, which tells you something about how serious they are about variety. I mean, this isn't just shooting with jokes between fights. They're laying out completely different gameplay styles in their campaign. The first game had variety, but it was mostly different combat encounters. This system seems designed to constantly shift what you're doing, which either keeps things fresh or breaks the pacing depending on execution. And then there's Senator Muppy, your actual assassination target. The preview builds showed his boss fight. The first phase seems pretty standard, shooting decoys, learning patterns, your typical FPS boss design. And then the senator crawls into your head. And no, not metaphorically, I mean he literally invades your inventory screen. You open your menu and he's in there, messing with your settings, adjusting your bullet damage sliders, changing your nitrogen levels, breaking the UI from the inside.
I think I've got a plan. Just get him out of here.
To stop him, you have to factory reset, which drops you into a 2D arcade game, inside of your settings menu, during a boss fight in a first-person shooter. The Gamescom demo included this sequence, but the preview journalists aren't really sure if it's staying in the final build. It might have been built specifically for that demo, or it might be the actual boss fight. Squanch hasn't clarified yet. Here's what matters though. They programmed a boss fight that breaks the fourth wall by attacking your game settings. That is not a joke. That's a design philosophy. I mean, the first High on Life was funny because the guns talked. This sequel is trying to make the game itself the joke, weaponizing the UI, turning menus into gameplay, making the structure part of the comedy, which is pretty ambitious, and also risky.
I choose the danger.
Because if it doesn't land, all you've done is annoy your players by hijacking their settings during a fight.
Oh, that looks like it hurt. Don't do that again.
But here's the thing about comedy sequels. They usually fail. Movies, TV shows, games, doesn't really matter. The first one works because it's surprising. Fresh jokes, new ideas, unexpected humor. And by the time the sequel arrives, I mean, you know what to expect. The surprise is gone, there's no more it factor. And comedy without surprise is just reference. Remember when the first game did this? We're doing it again.
No, God!
That's not funny, that's just nostalgia exploitation. High on Life had some pretty mixed reviews when it launched. I mean, critics were split on the humor. Some loved the absurdist Rick and Morty energy. Others found it exhausted and tiring. Edgelord cynicism, one review called it. Tedious punch-down humor like South Park. Basically, if you didn't vibe with Justin Roiland's style, the game didn't work for you. And that's totally fine. I mean, not every game needs universal appeal. But it does mean High on Life 2 is facing a very specific challenge. It can't just repeat the first game's jokes. It has to find new ways to be funny, while also keeping the same tone, and the same voice cast, and the same talking gun concept. And that's a pretty narrow path to follow. Here's what's interesting though. The preview consensus is surprisingly positive. I mean, not universally of course, but journalists who played both games keep saying the same thing. This one feels better. More refined combat, better movement with the skateboard, more gameplay variety, even the humor seems sharper, which is very rare for comedy sequels. Usually, the reviews tend to go the other way. Not as fun as the first one, feels repetitive. But instead, we're getting might actually be better than the original. I mean, that's either really good development work or really good preview build curation. But I guess we'll find out on February 13th.
This creepy boy loves our damage!
Okay, let's shift gears here real fast though. Strip away the skateboard hype and the talking gun gimmick. What is High on Life 2 actually trying to be? Well, based on the previews, it's a comedy game that's taking gameplay seriously. The first game leaned hard into humor. Combat was fine, but it wasn't the selling point. Jokes carried the experience, and this sequel seems to be flipping that ratio. The humor is still there, the guns still talk, and the situations are still absurd. But the foundation, the movement, the combat, the level design, it's getting real developmental attention. Adding skateboarding isn't a gag. It's a system that changes how the entire game functions. 3 hub worlds isn't padding, it's structure that supports deeper exploration. Dialogue choices aren't just for replayability, they're testing player agency in a series that never had it before. And the murder mystery isn't a joke section, it is a full puzzle game nested inside the campaign. Squanch is building a real game around the comedy, instead of comedy with game elements attached. Which might be exactly what the first one needed to win over critics who thought it was all jokes and no substance. Or, it might just dilute what made High on Life feel special in the first place. It really depends on whether you played it for the shooting or for the jokes.
You didn't even wait for me to finish explaining.
Alright, that's High on Life 2 before February 13th. Do you actually want more gameplay depth in a comedy game, or does that risk killing the vibe? Honestly, I genuinely don't know if a murder mystery belongs in a game about talking guns, but go ahead and drop your thoughts down in the comments below. And if you want the full review when it launches, be sure to hit the subscribe button. And if you've never played the first game, check it out. It's over on Game Pass.